Meghana
This
Shah to.
conference will now be recorded.
Thank you, Chavik.
Okay.
So we'll start with today's presentation. The agenda for today, I will be taking you all through namely three things. First is companies fresh start scheme. Then companies amendment bill. It's not yet an act, but it is yet a bill. And I'll be taking you through briefly through the provisions of this bill. And lastly, very fast, we will run through the updates given with respect to SEBI regulations, ODMs, right? And here we go. So as I said, today's agenda is to first go through Companies Fresh Start Scheme 2020. This scheme has come with respect to giving a lot of benefits to the companies, and this is part of the measures taken by the ministry as against COVID-19. Then we will go through briefly through certain provisions or the measures with respect to COVID-19, which are being very rightly placed by Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And then we will go through Companies Amendment of 2020. And after that, lastly, we'll have a fast run through for SEBI updates. Like before I actually start today's session, I really wish everybody a very good health and the best of the safety. And one thing I must appreciate that our government has been taking very good steps and proactively it's been taking some wonderful steps to take care of us and the whole country as a whole. And now that things are upon us, we have to feel the responsibility that how far we follow the measures taken by the ministry. And another thing, I am basically a very optimistic person, so I would really like to uh, share my views on this platform that I fully agree and I really wish and pray for all those who have become victims of coronavirus and I wish them a speedy recovery or good health. But apart from that, this lockdown is something very new which has come upon us. And though we wish a very good recovery, and I'm very sure that we will come out of this in a very good manner, having a very prominent Prime Minister with us. We are very fortunate that this whole pandemic has come during such a time when we have a vibrant and a wonderful Prime Minister like Narendra Modi ji. And I also really think, just to give 2-3 minutes on this, that what have we done during this lockdown? What have we experienced during this lockdown? I was just thinking today morning that can I use this platform to share my views? Because everywhere in the news and around us, we are just hearing about the graph of the numbers going up and up. So and so people are now under coronavirus, affected by coronavirus, and so many deaths have been occurred. And I would like to see the positive side of it. And the best part which I saw over here is that first and foremost, all of us together has really learned the value of gratitude. I remember like when first time our Prime Minister had said that let us show our gratitude to the team of people who in such a difficult situation is still working hard for the country. And that was the first time when as a country as a whole, we all united and have shown gratitude towards this team of people. So, as a country, as a whole country, as citizens of this country, we have together learned the value of gratitude. Just remember those few minutes, 5 minutes, we were so happy feeling inside, though we were all locked down inside home. But those 5 minutes were the wonderful minutes of the whole day. And we were happily banging thalis and clapping hands. And this was a way of showing gratitude. So we learned what is gratitude. We learned what is the happiness by showing our gratitude. This is a wonderful thing. This is a positive side of this COVID-19, I would say. We also now gradually all realized that, okay, it's so important to keep our immune system very strong. And everybody now has become so health conscious, have now started learning what to eat, what not to eat, what are the good healthy habits, what are the good healthy lifestyle habits. So everybody has now become so aware of the life, because that's our life is the only thing which is going to be with us or to this whole life. Another thing we have learned is it's such a wonderful time staying with our family. Probably every one of us would have wished somewhere during our this much of lifetime that काश मुझे भी ऐसा थोड़ा समय मिलता कि मैं अपने परिवार के साथ समय गुजारूं. And Tathastu, you got this. You have a wonderful time to spend with your family. Suddenly, we also realize it's so beautiful listening to the birds chirping. Whole day, it's not just early morning, but whole day we can hear birds chirping. Suddenly, we have also realized that animals are roaming around on the road and they feel as if, yes, they also own this planet. Till before COVID-19, it was like human beings were behaving as if they themselves own this whole planet and nobody else. There is no other living creature who has any right on this planet. And now, because of this lockdown, and we all are inside, animals, birds, and animals are freely roaming around. I'm so happy to see that yes, even they got some breathing space to roam around on their own. Suddenly, we also realize that yes, working from home is possible. Just imagine those people who are sick or who are pregnant women or who are all those people who under any circumstances are working from home, and now we coming in their position are able to understand it, how difficult or how possible it is for them to work from home. Also, this is a wonderful time to pursue our hobbies. Like I personally feel that this is a beautiful time that one can develop a new hobby or one can pursue its own lost hobby. Like I personally like painting and I have started a new painting of Radha and Krishna. So that is from my side, and I'm sure every one of us would be doing this. It's also a wonderful time to introspect, because everybody was so busy and running from time to time, just going at this time I have to reach here, this time I have to do this. Everything was running on the click of the hour. And now, when we have got some breather, we can have a superb time introspecting ourselves, where our life is going, how do we want, is it going the way we want it, what do we want to add in our life, what new thoughts we would like to cultivate, what new habits we would like to cultivate. This is a wonderful time for that. Also, a wonderful thing, a very beautiful thing which I experience is that we have forgotten about all the boundaries. We have forgotten about what are weekdays and what are weekends. Nearing the weekends, we feel happy. Nearing the weekdays, we feel the butterflies in the stomach. Again, the due dates, the work pressure. So now suddenly we have forgotten about all the boundaries. We have forgotten all the boundaries of the world as well. Now we know that what situation we are into. Same way the situation is in US, same way it's in various other countries, and now suddenly each and every person on this planet are feeling same as each other. So we have now entered into a boundaryless, a borderless world. So we are now having a very boundaryless mindset. Suddenly we have also realized that technology is so very important part of our life. Right now, when I'm communicating with all of you, and gradually as and when you all will be communicating with me through any queries or any kind of interactive things you would like to come up with, it's all because of this wonderful technology. And now, when we all are sitting at home, still we all are connected with each other. That's only because of this technology. So we have now realized, though it was always there, but it's like more important now for us to understand that technology is been imbibed in our life so well. It has become a wonderful part of our life. On the other side, the plus point is also that have you realized that suddenly there are no news about any robbery, there are no news about thefts, there are no news about rapes, there are no news about any other diseases coming out. Suddenly, the doctors' visits have been reduced drastically. Suddenly, people have stopped going to hospitals and doctors. Everything is now only on coronavirus. Nothing else is existing in this world. The world is same as it was earlier, but suddenly the things have changed. So this is the plus point. There are no diseases anymore. The crimes have gone down. Diseases have gone down. The news are completely on coronavirus. Also, uh, Now, when we are staying at home, probably many of us would realize that how would they, those who were sick, or those who are sick, those who are poor, those who are housewives, for those who have to stay at home all the time would be feeling inside when we, all of us, are now staying at home day in, day out, day after day. So it's the best time to now go into their shoes and understand that what kind of support, love, and care they require from us because they are staying at home because of whatever limitations they have, because of age, because of sickness, because of their other responsibilities. Now we are able to understand in what position they are, and probably now we will become more compassionate towards this group of people. And yes, I have also seen that police. Earlier, everybody used to be so afraid of police, and now suddenly we have become so compassionate about police staff also because we have now seen that how in these difficult times they are serving their duty for us, for our safety. And I have seen few videos wherein few ladies are going and doing their aarti and giving them sweets and happily, showing their gratitude towards the police. A bigger shift from our on in our mindset towards them. Also, we have seen for the first time probably the ministries have come together, and the opposition and the ruling party, everybody is now together working against coronavirus. And now, because of all these positive things during this COVID-19 period, I think we will gain so much of strength that we will definitely fight this back. And the one bad thing about this is that the economy is being affected very badly. But with the kind of zeal and with the kind of positivity we have within us, we will come back with a greater boost and take this economy up higher than before. On a lighter note, probably most of us would have realized that it's not really that bad staying with spouses all day for so many days, minutes after minutes and days after days. And in this time, a wonderful song of Michael Jackson comes to my mind, Heal the World. It's one of the best songs. It's one of my favorite songs. I would really tell all of you all to please listen to that song. It's a wonderful and beautiful song, wherein you visualize a very beautiful world where everybody is loving and caring for each other. It's a famous song by a legendary Michael Jackson. And please hear the original track. It's a wonderful song. You will enjoy it. Now, with this positive notes, let us start today's presentation. What is Companies Fresh Start Scheme 2020? As the ministry has said, it is a fresh start on a clean slate. What does it mean, fresh start on a clean slate? Ministry has, for the very first time, given us all an opportunity to start on a clean slate. What is this opportunity? Is in a very short terminology, I would say it is sort of a Ganga Snan for each and every companies. Whatever defaults, not those with the criminal offences associated with it, but whatever defaults with respect to technical lapses or procedural lapses or some civil lapses are being taken care of through this scheme. Ministry has given us a wonderful opportunity to do this Ganga Snan and come out clean. What is this opportunity? Yeah. So on 24th of March, friends, if you remember, lockdown started 23rd of March was probably the curfew period, and lockdown started from 25th of March, if I'm not mistaken. So 24th of March, Ministry came out with a notification, circular number 11, wherein it said that it wanted to support and enable companies and LLPs to focus on various necessary measures to address COVID-19, including economic disruptions caused by it. I beg your pardon, I would like to collapse this, but I'm unable to. Let me try this because I'm unable to view my whole screen over here. So just give me a few seconds. Charvik or Bhavin Bhai?
Yeah, madam. Yeah, madam.
Better to collapse this because I cannot see my whole screen over there. Can you please help me out of this? Because my
Yes, you can
1/4 of
see
the
your
screen is
presentation.
covered.
You can see your presentation.
I can see my presentation, but only 3/4 part of it. My 1/4 part is covered by the boxes over here, though I have collapsed. But can I
You can
complete?
increase your screen size.
Okay. I got it. I'm sorry.
Madam.
I just got it.
Fine.
So we can start. We can
Okay.
continue. Thanks, Madam.
Okay, madam.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so I was there. The ministry has said that it wanted to enable and support companies and LLPs to focus on taking necessary measures to address COVID-19, including economic disruptions caused by it. Now, why I have put this economic disruptions in red is that the actual economic disruptions caused by COVID-19 is so huge, so tremendous, by that this particular scheme is just like a drop in an ocean. So how far it will be successful in addressing this particular disruption is a big question mark. But yes, we must appreciate the efforts taken by the ministry in at least attempting to give some relief during this period of pandemic. Another thing which the ministry wanted to give was to reduce the compliance burden and other risks. Now, what are these other risks that we will go through? Scroll down.
Any problem, madam? Hello. We can hear you, ma'am. Hello. Hello, madam. Madam, we can't hear you. Hello. Hello.
Now you can hear me? Yeah. Right. Hello. Sorry, friends. Earlier I had taken meeting on Zoom, but this is on GoTo meeting. It's first time for me. So, but now I have understood the system. On 24th of March, three things mainly came out through this notification. First is no additional fees during the moratorium period for companies and LLPs. This is a wonderful thing, one of its kind, because earlier twice or thrice the ministry had come out with this kind of things, but in all those times the additional fees was waived off up to 75%. This time there is no additional fees at all. Second thing which they have come out with was that gap between two board meetings. As you all know that the maximum gap between two board meetings should be 120 as per the Companies Act and Secretariat standards. But because of this COVID-19 and social distancing to be kept, ministry has allowed a gap of 180 days between two board meetings, and this kind of gap of 180 days will be there for next 2 quarters. So for an example, if a company has held meeting in 1st of January, then ideally as for 120 days, the company should have had its second board meeting in the second quarter of the calendar year, maximum by January, February, March and April, by the 1st of April. But because of this extension of 60 days, the meeting can be held by May and June, 1st of June. And this can be carried forward for the next quarter also. So this is a wonderful thing. Secondly, as you know, CARO 2020 was notified and it had been made applicable from 2019-20, but because of this COVID-19 thing, the ministry thought that it would be possible and let us give some relaxation. So the applicability of CARO 2020 has been postponed to 2021 instead of 1920. Finally, on 30th of March, by circular number 12, the scheme has come out into fine print, and its applicability date or the commencement date is 1st of April, and the moratorium period will last up to 30th of September. So in all, we are getting April, May, June, July, August, September. 6 months for this whole scheme to be taken benefit of. The objective of this scheme is what? Majorly, there are 4 objectives. First, to give one-time opportunity to defaulting companies to file belated documents in the MCA 21 registry. It's one time because, as I said earlier the opportunity was given wherein the waiver of additional fee was up to 75%. But this time, it's a 100% waiver. Second objective is to condone the delay in filing the annual statements, documents, returns, or any other statement by levying only normal fees. So the delay has been condoned and no further penalty will be levied with respect to the additional fees. So only normal fees will be levied. Third objective is waiver of additional fees, as I have been always saying, for delay in filing various documents during the moratorium period prescribed by CFSS. And lastly, the objective is to grant, this is one of the beautiful points in this, granting of the immunity from any prosecution or proceedings for imposing penalties. Now, of course, there are a few caveats are associated with this. We will go into detail through my presentation. There is also a very wonderful opportunity given to inactive companies. Who are these inactive companies will be taken care of in the later slides. So the opportunity given is that as and when these companies are doing their regular filings, which they had not done in the earlier years, simultaneously they can apply to get a dormant status, or they can apply for the strike off under section 248(2). And the benefit derived by taking the dormant status is that a very simple application is there, normal fee is there, and very minimal compliance requirements are there. This is unless and until the company is not wishing to do any business, it can very well take this dormant status and protect itself from any further action to be taken by ROC or any other authority. So mainly what this scheme is giving us, it is giving a complete waiver of additional fees. It is giving us immunity from adjudication and prosecution with respect to additional fees, and it is giving us some additional time to appeal. This is also a very unique feature which has come out in this scheme. It has not come up earlier at any point of time through this ministry. Firstly, we will go through some important definitions. What is a company? Under the scheme, it has been said that company is as defined under section 220 of the Companies Act 2013. Now, what is this 220? 220 says that a company means company incorporated under this act or under any previous company law. Now, why I have underlined this under this act? Because if we see later on that what are the forms to which this scheme is made applicable, those list of forms contains those forms which are required for foreign companies. But if we look into the definition of company, nowhere it mentions about foreign company. Had it been the case, a scheme would have said that the company means as defined under section 220 of the Companies Act and also the foreign company as defined in the Companies Act, then probably it was understandable. But that thing has not come out. So what are foreign companies basically? Foreign company as per section 242 is any company or a body corporate incorporated outside India which has a place of business in India, whether by itself or through an agent, physically or through electronic mode, and conducts any business activity in India in any other manner. Under Companies Act 2013, a very elaborative definition of foreign company has been mentioned, and all these foreign companies are required to register themselves within Ministry of Corporate Affairs and do some compliances also under section 380 to 386, including 392 and 393. Now, this all compliances are only for foreign companies. Here, when we are under the scheme, checking whether the scheme is applicable to those foreign companies. If any foreign company has for any reason not complied with those compliances as mentioned under section 382, 386, 92, 93, then will they be able to take the benefit of this scheme? My answer would be yes, because the list of firms include those foreign companies firms also, though the definition does not come out clearly specifying about foreign companies. Maybe there would be some clarification coming out with respect to foreign companies, but right now it fairly speaks about foreign company FC3, FC2, FC4 firms which are applicable to the foreign companies, and no additional fees will be levied for such firms. Then the definition of defaulting company. Company as defined under Companies Act 2013. Again, when you are talking about defaulting company who can take the benefit of the scheme, then the company again takes us to the definition of the company and the Companies Act. And again, that includes only those companies which are incorporated under Companies Act. It doesn't speak about foreign companies. So anyways, that clarification should come out. And who are these companies which are defaulted? So the company defined the Companies Act and which has made default in filing of. Please keep in mind the defaulting companies under this scheme are only those companies which has made default in only filing of any documents, statements, returns, including statutory documents on MCA 21. No other kind of default are considered under this scheme. So we have to keep in mind, we have to actually do a sort of due diligence for all our client companies and check in past whether any documents or statements or returns or any statutory documents which were required to be filed under Companies Act 2013 or as a matter of fact even under Companies Act 1956, then we are getting a wonderful chance to correct that lapse. What are vanishing companies? Those are those companies which cease to file, who have ceased to file their statements of return after raising capital. The company was incorporated, they raised capital and suddenly they have vanished. They have not done any kind of filing and their whereabouts of the registered office or directors are not known. Who are these inactive companies? Inactive companies are such which is not carrying business or operation or has not made any significant accounting transactions during the last 2 financial years. So all those companies which are not carrying on any business or do not have any business operations or have not made any significant accounting transactions during the last 2 financial years will be considered as inactive companies, and these inactive companies will be getting an opportunity to the scheme to apply for a dormant status or to apply for cancellation of their striking of their name under section 248. Now, what is this significant accounting transactions? If any this kind, there are 4 type of transactions. If any of these transactions are being done in the company, then still these transactions are done, the company is not considered as having any business operations in it and can be counted as inactive company and take this benefit of applying the dormant status or striking off. What are these transactions? Payment of fees by the company to the registrar, payments made by it to fulfill the requirements of this act or any other law. So you are mandatorily required or statutorily required to do some payments, or you are doing the allotment of shares to fulfill some requirements of this act and payments for maintenance of its office and records. All these 4 transactions, if at all are there in the company during past 2 years, still your company will be counted as inactive. To whom this scheme will be applicable? Now here I have tried to turn the tables around in a different manner. We will consider to whom this scheme is not applicable first, because the list of those companies is very short and we can cover it up in a very short manner. The first thing, the scheme is definitely not applicable to two categories of firms. First is Form SS7. It is for increasing the share capital, increasing authorized share capital. Now, why this scheme is not made applicable to this particular form? Because there is an element of stamp duty attached with it. How can you adjudicate that lapse through this scheme? It was not possible because there is altogether a different measure, there is altogether a different department taking care of this thing. Hence, late filing or delay in filing of form in increasing the authorized capital is not possible through this scheme. Also, all the charge-related forms are not covered under the scheme. I personally really fail to understand that why a form relating to satisfaction of charge is not covered under the scheme. It is very well understandable that creation of charge or condoning the delay, all those forms are not covered under the scheme because when you are talking about charge, there is some debt in the company. And because of that, IBC comes into place. Probably for some companies, IBC matter, some matter is going under IBC. It's yet not been decided, and you don't know what the outcome would be at the end of the process. So it's not possible that whether the charge creation form to be filed or not. So there are a lot of things when you're talking about charge creation. But with respect to charge satisfaction, yes, it is not allowed under the scheme to be filed. But I really feel that if the company has paid off all its debts and you have got a valid certificate from the bank saying that there are no debts owing to the company, then it is for the benefit of the bank, for the benefit of the ministry, and benefit of the company that they should be allowed even after paying some additional fees. But here it is not been allowed even under the scheme. Given as it may be, now we have to understand that these are the forms which are not allowed to be filed under the scheme. So if you have to file these forms, then you have to pay the additional fees. Right now, with respect to charge of auto, there are different provisions. You are not even allowed to file for the additional fees. That can be taken care of in a separate manner. There are certain companies for which this scheme is not applicable. First is all those companies for which, against which the action for final notice of striking off has already been initiated under Section 248. Now, if you must be aware that Registrar of Companies has powers under Section 248(1) to issue show cause notice to the companies where it finds that a company is not having any business operations from last 2 years, or under Section 12 if the company is not having a registered office. Under all these sections, if the ROC issues notice and the company is unable to give satisfactory reply, or if at all the reply or the company has not given reply at all, then the company strikes off the name of the company. Then the ROC will strike off the name of the company, and a notice will be issued under SDK 7. If this kind of notice has already been issued, the status of the company changes to strike off, these companies cannot take the benefit of the scheme. If at all they want to take the benefit, I will take it up later in my slide. I will show you a way. Another point, application for striking off is done. That means again under 248 subsection 2, all the companies who are not having any business operations in the last 2 years, who are considered as inactive, who are considered as defunct, can apply suo motu on their own for striking off their name from the register of the companies. This application is to be done through Form STK 2. If a company has already applied, whether the form is approved or pending for approval, if the application is already made, then such companies cannot go under this scheme. Probably, company directors would think that, because they were afraid of the disqualifications and other actions taken by the ROC, they thought better now apply for this strike off. We will see later on for whatever business we have planned for this company. But now when the scheme has come up, suddenly they would think, okay, now I want to take the benefit because now it is feasible for me, because earlier the additional fee was so much, 100 rupees per day, it was too heavy. And hence the directors would have taken the call. But now since there is no additional fee, they would like to go back on the decision and would like to do all the compliance and allow the company to run, or to allow the company to go on the dormant status. But I'm sorry, if the application for the strike off is already been filed, then they would not be allowed to take the benefit of the scheme. Also, all those companies which are already amalgamated. Now, when I am saying already amalgamated, here we are talking about MCA, we are talking about MCA 21 system. So everything is linked with the system. So in the system, when the master data of the company, the status of the company is shown as amalgamated, then the companies cannot take the benefit of the scheme because the company has dissolved its identity by amalgamating into another entity, and hence the scheme cannot be taken. The companies which have already filed application for dormant status, all those companies which have already filed the application for dormant status cannot take the benefit of this scheme. The only way is first to apply for coming out of the dormant status, and once they are out of the dormant status, when the status of the company is active, when the status of the company has been changed from dormant to active, then only such companies can take the benefit under the scheme. All those vanishing companies are completely not allowed to go under the scheme. The reason being that there are some other legal provisions to be applied on this company, so they cannot go under the scheme and just do the filing and protect themselves from all other legal provisions. Companies marked for CIRP or liquidation. All those companies which are marked for CIRP or liquidation are also not allowed to go under the scheme. The simple reason is that very recently in the month of February or January, if I'm not mistaken, the Minister of Corporate Affairs had come up with a circular saying that any company which is in the CIRP or liquidation, the regulator has the right to do the to take the corrective steps of filing all the delayed documents through GNL2, and that too without additional fees. So that the benefit was already given to such companies, and hence they are not allowed under this scheme. Now let us go through how the waiver of additional fees is done. There is no additional fees at all for delay irrespective of due date. Now this is very important, that irrespective of due date, one would think that I have not done filing, say 5 years back. Now we all know the Companies Act, there are two sections, section 164 and section 248. Now one of the section talks about disqualification, another section talks about striking off. Now, if the company has not done filing of annual documents, like filing of annual returns and the financial statements consecutively for 3 years, then the directors are liable to be disqualified under section 164. Or if the company has not filed the returns in past 2 years, then ROC has all the right to give show cause notice to strike off your name. Now, all these provisions are there for consecutive years. Consecutive for 3 years if you have not filed, consecutive for 2 years you have not filed. Say for an example, very recently when I was doing due diligence for a company, I found out that the company is active and is doing crores of business. But while due diligence, I found out that in 2014-15, company had not filed its returns, not filed its financial statements. Now, what about such kind of lapses? So, though it might not come out very glaringly to the Ministry or to the ROC because of 1 year in between the other years, but still the penalty provisions are applicable for the company if at all on random check it comes to the notice of the authority. So irrespective of any due date, no additional fees will be charged. And it has been found out that when you are actually uploading the form, the challan which is generated, it only comes up with the normal fees. If you remember earlier, CLSS, Component Settlement Scheme had come. In that scheme, when the waiver was given for 75%, then the challan which was generated after uploading the form, it contained normal fees, additional fees, 25% of the additional fees. So I was actually expecting that similar kind of challan will be generated under the scheme also, like a normal fee, say 300 rupees, additional fees 0, and then the total amount. But surprisingly, they have given a clean sheet. They have given a normal challan as if there is no delay at all. Just normal fees comes in the challan, pay the normal fees, and your filing is done. In all, there are 76 forms, 64 forms under companies in 1956, including both the acts. There are few forms because there would be lapse in the earlier regime also, when companies in 1956 was applicable. So 64 forms under Companies Act and 12 forms under LLP Act. In all, 76 forms are taken under this scheme. Now, I will like to show you all the list of all those forms to which additional fees have been waived off. These are the forms. If you can see, practically every form, MR2 is the form to file for appointment of KMP, DAR3C, intimation of DIN, and Form 66, the earlier compliance certificate of the 383A of 1956 Act, then XBRL form, IEPF form, all this beautiful, it's a wonderful scheme, I would say. Nowhere earlier this kind of scheme had come. And not only this Companies Act, even under LLP earlier there was a scheme wherein they are allowed to file Form 8, 11 and 3 without any additional fees. But now they have come up with all 12 forms with LLP also, and no additional fees for all these forms. I have heard that Ministry of Corporate Affairs will be posting this list of forms on the website also. Now coming with the next concept, we dealt with the waiver of additional fees. Now another thing which is coming up in this scheme is granting immunity certificate. This is a novel concept, I would say, of granting immunity certificate, though similar kind of thing was already there in the Company Law Settlement Scheme. But why novel? I will tell you. It is a certificate evidencing immunity from prosecution or proceedings for imposition of penalty due to delay in filing. So it gives you immunity from the penalty which is related to only delay in filing of any document, statement, returns, or any important statement under Companies Act 2013, 1956 also. So please we have to keep this in mind that penalty is when, if there is any penalty, mind well the word penalty, and the penalty must be with respect to delay in filing, then you will be getting immunity from any kind of prosecution or proceedings with respect to such penalty. There are certain conditions that if you want to take immunity certificate, then first you have to file all the pending documents, return statements with MCA. And if there are any appeals pending which are filed before 1st April 2020, then those appeals have to be withdrawn by the company. How a company can apply for obtaining immunity certificate? It shall be applied through Form CFSS 2020. For this, no fee is there. It has to be filed after the closure of the scheme. This is something very, very important because the scheme starts from the scheme has already been started. It has been started from 1st of April and it is to be carried on till 30th of September 2020. This form is not even available right now. It will be made available only after the closure of 6 months, that is after 30th of September, and it will be there for next 6 months. So after filing under this scheme, during this moratorium period, you will be given next 6 months to apply for the immunity certificate. But 6 months is a very huge period for us to remember. So I would request all of you all that once you have done the filing under the scheme, kindly put a reminder somewhere that once this 30th September has passed, you get a reminder that you have to file an immunity certificate for all those forms which are filed under the scheme. One thing which comes to my mind when I'm talking about immunity certificate is that if I remember under Company Law Settlement Scheme, similar concept of immunity certificate was there, but at that time it was that you can apply only once, like whatever filing you have done. If you see the form, there is a box where you have to mention all the forms you have filed under the scheme, and in one go you have to submit that form and you get one single immunity certificate for all those filings. So we have to keep this in mind that we are given this time span of 6 months to really do some Samudra Manthan, to really do some good introspection for our client companies and check in detail, do due diligence for them and check is there anything else left out to be done in past. It might happen that it is not immediately coming to your mind, immediately not coming to the director's mind. It might come up later. It might come up to somebody else's pointing out. It might come up to a different interpretation which might come up later on. And at that point of time, you can file it. If you have filed this particular one type of document and you apply for the immunity, and later on you remember, oh, I should have filed that also, you lost the chance. So please bear in mind, utilize the 6 months to analyze what has been left out and how you can correct it. So immunity certificate application cannot be filed after the expiry of 6 months from the date of closure. That is, the application for the immunity certificate will be allowed till 31st of March 2021. What is the effect of immunity? Positive effects of immunity are the withdrawal of proceedings of adjudication of penalties. As you all know, the section 454 of the Constitution of 2013, ROCs have been given power to adjudicate any matter, and they give show cause notice to the companies and their directors or officer in default with respect to any lapses they find out, and you have to go and appear or file a reply. So all those adjudication proceedings will be withdrawn. Also, withdrawal of pending prosecutions by the designated authority. If the matter has been gone into prosecution, then the very best part is that even this kind of prosecutions will be withdrawn. But during all these things, we have to keep in mind the withdrawal of proceedings and prosecutions only with respect to delay in filing and with respect to the additional fees. If at all there are any criminal provisions attached with it, if there are any fraudulent element attached with this lapse, then those things are not covered under the scheme. They have to be followed as per the due procedure under the Act. I would not say negative, but yes, no immunity shall be applicable or granted in any matter of any appeal pending before any court of law. Say for an example, any adjudication process has been taken against a company and the company has appealed against that order. The education order has been already passed and the company has filed an appeal against that order, and if that appeal is pending before any court of law, then that company cannot take shelter of the scheme unless and until it withdraws the appeal, files the lapse delayed forms, and gives the proof of filing and proof of withdrawal of appeal to the ROC. Then only the ROC will withdraw the proceedings against the company and the officer in default. So if any appeal is pending, the scheme cannot be availed. Again, in case of management disputes of the company pending before any court of law or tribunal, obviously the scheme cannot be taken care of. Also, in case the court has ordered conviction, the court has already ordered conviction and no appeal has been filed. Once the order has been passed, you cannot go back and say, I want to take the benefit of the scheme. Lastly, if any order imposing penalty has been passed by the adjudicating authority and no appeal has been filed by the company before this scheme has come into the force, again you have lost the chance. Okay, in the earlier slide, in the last point, the scheme has given a small window to this kind of companies wherein they have not filed appeal before the scheme. They have been given some time to file this appeal. I will be going through those provisions. Now here we will very fast like to understand what is adjudication of penalties, and the ruling section is section 441. This is a very novel concept just come up in 2013. It was not there in the 1956 Act. And it takes care of all those minor compliances or the ones which are majorly pertaining to procedural lapses. Like, we have just failed, the company has failed to file a resolution. The resolution was passed and meeting was duly convened and the resolution was duly passed or the agreement was duly entered into, but the company failed to file with the ROC. The company failed to intimate the ROC. It is merely a lapse of filing the form, or there is a failure of furnishing information about DIN probably, or a minor lapse of, you have not filed, MT 14 is of course a form to file resolution, you have not filed the financial statements of annual returns. Now, when I'm saying about filing the forms, I mean purely filing the forms. So it is understood that such companies have had the proper duly convened AGM, they had all the resolutions in place, they had all the financial statements duly executed in the way it is mentioned in the Commission 2013 or Commission 1956. It is only that the company has not filed it with the ROC. This kind of non-compliances are being now adjudicated by the ROC. This is just in light to reduce the burden of the adjudicating of the legal authorities. Now here I would like to all of you to remember in past 2 to 3 years I had seen there were several companies amendment acts, Amendment Act 2017, 2018, 2019, And the major amendment carried out to all these acts was recategorizing various fines into penalties. All those sections, a major drive was taken, was undergone, wherein various sections wherein the word fines was mentioned, been changed to the word penalty. So what is this change which they tried to come out with? The change was if the authority had to levy any fine, there was a judicial process through which the judicial authority has to go through, and then only it can levy fine. For the penalty, it can straight away give a show cause notice, and it can the company or the officer in default has to reply or appear if it not required, and the penalty is levied. So the things move faster when it is penalty, and there is a procedure judicial process to levy fines. Hence, it is a good move wherein all the fines, not all, but many of the areas fines have been changed to penalties. And the procedure is a show cause notice issued by the ROC, opportunity to be heard has been given, and in the show cause notice, they would mention about the penalty and the reason why the penalty or the action cannot be taken. Direction has been given, time period to correct the default, and time to reply to show cause notice. If required, director or the promoter or the officer in concerned officer will have to appear before ROC and explain that why the lapse has been done and how they will correct, and then comply, and then the order will be passed, and they will be given a time period to comply with the order. Once the adjudicating authority passes an order, the order has to be complied within 90 days. And if the company or the officer in default wants to appeal against this order, then it has to file this appeal within 60 days from the date of receipt of order. We have to remember this period of 90 days and 60 days. It is very important because the scheme talks about something which is related to this period. If ROC order, or as the case may be RD order, that is a regional director's order, is not complied within 90 days, then there is a provision of imprisonment or fine. Mind well, the word used here is fine and not penalty. Now, say for an example, the adjudicating authority, who is ROC here, has given a show cause notice to a company, and the company has filed an appeal within 60 days to the RD through form ADJ, and the appeal is pending. What will happen in this case? Very simple. That company, if the company wants to take the benefit of the scheme, then the company will have to first withdraw the appeal, file all the forms, give the proof of withdrawal of appeal and the proof of filing the forms to the ROC. Then the ROC will withdraw its proceedings of adjudication against the company. The process is like this. Suppose within this period of 90 days, the company has not complied with the adjudication order. Then what happens? Then the adjudicating authority will have the right to impose imprisonment or fine upon the company or the officer in default or the directors of the company. Now, what will happen to those companies? Under this scheme, special measures for extension of time to appeal is being given. As I said earlier, in normal circumstances, time period is 60 days. Now, suppose the order has been passed on 1st of January, or maybe the company has received the order on 1st of January. Then the time period to file appeal against that order will be counted from that 1st of January till 60 days. So January, February, by 2nd of March probably, the company had time to file the appeal against that adjudication order. Here the scheme says that if the order, the due date of filing appeal, the due date of filing appeal falls between 1st of March to 30th of May. In my example, it falls within that period. So the due date of filing appeal against the adjudication order falls within 1st of March to 30th of May. Then in such cases, an additional period of 120 days. The due date of appeal is between 1st March to 30th of May falls is there, and the appeal is not filed, then an additional period of 120 days will be granted for such companies to file appeal. Here, all those companies will now be allowed to file appeal. Now, I fail to understand why this extension of days to file appeal, wherein in earlier case, under point number 5 and 6 of the scheme, it is said that if at all there is any appeal, then the company has to first withdraw and then do the filing and give the proof of withdrawal of appeal and filing, and then the proceedings will be withdrawn by the adjudicating authority. And here you are giving extended time to file appeal. So the procedure is, should it be like that, that you first file the appeal and then withdraw? As it comes out is that in all those cases, if you have not filed appeal till 1st of April, then you lose the chance to take the benefit of the scheme, the only of the scheme of withdrawal the appeal. So the only way out here is that you file the appeal, do the filing, and plead for a lenient view taken since the scheme is going on and the company is taking benefit of the scheme and taking the corrective measures to file the delayed forms. So the process of obtaining immunity certificate is, in short, first you have to identify, as I said, some of the you have to do the inspection, you have to really go deep into the companies, go each and every year backwards and check if there is any pending documents, statements, returns to be filed. Then once identified, you have to file such documents, pay the normal fee. If at all there is any appeal, if there is any prosecution of the proceeding against the company and the company has or the officer has filed the appeal, then you have to withdraw the appeal. And then after all these things, withdraw the appeal and filing has been done, you have to file from CFSS 2020 after the closure of the scheme, and then you will get the immunity certificate. So Gambasna, go ahead. What is the benefit given to the inactive companies? As I said earlier, these inactive companies will be allowed to apply under Section 455 to be declared as dormant companies, or it will be allowed to apply for the striking off of the name of the company in Section 242A2. Yeah. So what is it that the scheme is giving us? It is giving us a wonderful thing. If you look at it in summation, first thing is the ruling sections on section 92(4) and 157, and these sections are having an impact on all these sections. See, majorly the additional fees will be levied for filing annual returns, for filing financial statements, and for filing of resolutions. All these three sections, when we are going for filing, additional fee will be levied. And these sections have impact on other sections also, and it's a tremendous, mind well, right from 2016, the way this ministry has been taking up drive of striking of the company, of disqualifying the directors, vacating the office of the directors, it has a tremendous effect on the economy, it has tremendous effect on the directors, it has tremendous effect on the companies as well. And what are those? First of all, there is a provision of penalty of ₹50,000 if the annual return is not filed, or ₹1 lakh if the financial statements are not filed on such company and its officer in default. So this is been now given away, done away with this scheme. Penalty of 50,000 and 1 lakh. It will done away with this scheme. Then there is provision of further penalty in case of continuing failure. What is the meaning of continuing failure? The company was required to file a financial statement in the year 2014, and the due date for filing of that form was October 30, 2014. Right from that day till the day it has not filed, that failure to file the form is in continuation, and this is a continuing failure for which each day 100 rupees will be charged from 1st of July 2018 onwards, and before that 12 times the normal fees. and maximum up to 5 lakhs rupees. I was just calculating, it probably takes you back to maximum 10 to 14 years. So this is the amount which company can save upon if it is taking the shelter of this scheme. And if the financial statements are not filed, then for the continuing failure, the penalty is of ₹1,000 per day, maximum up to 10 lakhs. Again, this whole amount has been done away if you are taking shelter under this scheme. Also, there is an impact on the directors. The directors will be disqualified if the directors of such companies have not filed the annual return in the financial statements for any consecutive 3 years. If at all this lapse happens, then the directors will be disqualified for a continuous period of 5 years. And once the disqualification, its immediate effect is on Section 167, which is vacation of the office of the director, and all those directors' DINs will be blocked and they will not be able to function as directors in any of the company. Though I personally feel this is completely incorrect way of treating under the sections, because there is an amendment under 167, under section 167, which says that all those companies in which the default is done, the directors should remain as a director, and in rest all other companies, such directors will vacate the office. And there is a logical reason behind that, that in such companies where the directors have done any default, they should not be allowed to run away. They should be made compulsory to stay there, correct the default, and then only probably any action can be taken against the director. But since this whole thing is running through the system, there is no mechanism right now to allow the DIN of the director to function only for one particular or that particular company where the default is done, and to block the DIN for rest of the other companies. Such system is yet not developed. So though the section 167 speaks about the director of the defaulting company should not vacate that office in that particular company and will vacate the office in all other companies is there, still it is not applied practically. Also, the non-filing of the annual return of the financial statements empowers the ROC to give show cause notice for striking off of the name. Also, if there is such lapses, company will have to go for compounding. Also, if the ROC sends show cause notice, adjudication process starts. And again, if a proper reply is not filed, and the matter can go to criminal liability till prosecution. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, everything has been done away under this scheme. So this is a wonderful scheme. I would request everybody to take the maximum benefit out of it. Especially in this lockdown period, we have ample of time. Let us speak to each and every director of the company, explain them about the scheme, and do proper due diligence, and then allow and help the companies to correct their default and save them from future prosecution proceedings and additional fees. Again, we have to understand that what is the section wherein we have to follow the resolutions. The ruling section is 1.7, and the connecting sections are positively. All these sections are imposing penalty and imprisonment and everything. The impact is penalty on the company for ₹1,500 per day, up to ₹25 lakhs. All these things, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have been done away if you are filing all these resolution statements, returns under the scheme. And I've listed out all those things which a company is required to file with the registrar of companies: special resolutions, resolutions agreed by all the members, board resolution with respect to appointment, reappointment, renewal, or appointment or variation of terms of appointment of MD, and resolutions requiring to be wound up for voluntarily. Board resolutions in 179.3. This 179.3 is not applicable to private companies under notification 5th June 2015. And all this 179.3 are applicable to other than private companies. If at all you find out that any of the companies have not filed, why I'm listing out these things, it will help you all to identify all those statements which were required to be filed with the ROC and not yet filed. Please explain to the company this was required, and now you can file it without additional fees. Now let us take up some questions. If anybody has any queries, they can also put up on the chat, or they can ask me. And in the meantime, I have tried to cover up various questions over here. What about the struck off companies? I told you earlier, if a company is been struck off by the ROC or under 248(2) by the company itself, then what is to be done? Under 248(1), if a company is been struck off, then the hello, yes. Yeah, if you want to ask any questions, then please mute yourself because there is some disturbance going around in the background. Okay, so if a company is struck off by the ROC, yes, that's something. Okay.
I request you to take the questions afterward. Then
Fair enough. So we'll take up all the questions later on. First of all, let me go to these questions. If at all you have any query, it might get covered up over here. This stock of companies will first have to approach NCLT, apply for the revival order, revive itself, pay the cost if at all levied, then apply to the ROC for change in the status. Now, the question over here. Okay. Sorry, I was muted. I don't know how, but now I am audible. So I repeat, if the companies have been struck off, the status of the company has been struck, then the company will have to first approach NCLT, apply for a revival, and once the revival order is obtained, you pay the cost if at all the revival order applies this condition of payment of cost. Change the apply to the ROC for the change of the status of the company from struck off to active. And once the status of the company is active, the company can then do the filing under the scheme. Now, the major area of concern under this process is that the scheme is available only till 30th of September 2020, and currently the lockdown period is going on. Although the lockdown period might probably end by 30th of April, still we have 5 months in hands. But are these 5 months enough for a company to apply to the NCLT, take the reply from ROC, the NCLT passes the order of revival, and then the ROC changes the status of the company to active, and then you do the filing. My personal experience in this is I myself applied for NCLT and I have taken various cases for revival. I have seen NCLT is so much overloaded with so many matters. It is very difficult to do all these things within the period of 5 months. Also, the process of converting the status of the company from struck off to active, though I might sound, it's so simple, the status has to be changed. You have the NCLT, one would say you have the NCLT order, you have the court order. ROC is bound to do it immediately. No, boss, it is not happening that way. They take tremendous time, and the time period of 5 months to complete this whole process and then do the filing, I personally feel is too less. There should be some clarification for those companies. Maybe, that at least the company has applied to NCLT for under section 248(1) or 252(1) for the revival of the company. If the application is filed during this period, then the moratorium period will start from the date the status of the company is changed into active. Something of this sort should come out, I personally feel, but currently this thing is not mentioned anywhere else. So we need to move very fast if the status of the company is strike off. But having said this, it does not mean that the status of the company is made active, the filing has been done, the immunity certificate is probably obtained, the disqualification of the directors will not go. Nowhere in the Act, once a director is disqualified, if there is any provision for the director to remove the disqualification, the only way is that you apply to the High Court, but currently Mumbai High Court order has been stayed by the Supreme Court, so there is no way, at least in Mumbai, for any person to remove the disqualification on immediate basis. The only way is you wait quietly for 5 years of period, or you wait quietly for the disqualification period to end. And in the meantime, to allow the company to do the normal compliances, you appoint one director from the back end with the support of ROC. Then you appoint another person or the minimum number of directors on the board and do your regular filings. Please keep in mind, any new directors appointed in a company where earlier there was any lapse, there is a period of only 6 months allowed to correct the default. Beyond the 6 months, if at all that default is not corrected, even the newly appointed directors will become disqualified. So any person, or if you all are guiding to your clients to appoint any person from the back end on the board of the company, please keep in mind we need to educate them that they have a time period of only 6 months to correct that default, or else even those new directors will become disqualified under section 164. Companies under CRP or liquidation status, I said if at all the CRP is completed, then the status of the company has to be changed to active. You have to apply to IBBI to change the status, and once the status is active, you can take the benefit under the scheme. What about those forms which are filed beyond 300 days? Now, here there is a very surprising thing which I found in the scheme. The scheme talks about condoning the delay. Condoning the delay is only with respect to additional fees. It is not with respect to any other default. So what will happen if there is some another element apart from additional fees with the delay? For such an element, the condonation has to be done. So please keep in mind, if at all there is any delay, then you have to file for condoning the delay. And of course, you can ask the authority to take a very lenient view because the scheme is going on, and I am sure that the authority would definitely take a lenient view because the ministry has given an open window to all the companies. But the procedure of that condoning has to be done. The only benefit given in the scheme is waiver of additional fees. What about the dormant companies? I said earlier the dormant companies will first have to apply to come out of the dormant status and then file under the scheme and then take the immunity certificate. I said foreign companies FC3, FC4 firms are covered under the scheme, though the definition of the company does not cover foreign companies, but the list of firms contain FC3 and FC4, so this scheme will be applicable. What about the form where there are no fees prescribed? Now, there was an important question raised by few of the people whether form MSME is covered under the scheme. Now, let us go back to the earlier slide and we will see this MSME form is not covered under this list of forms. And there is a very proper reason why it is not there in this list. The reason is the requirement of filing this form is not under any section. A special order was passed by Minister of Corporate Affairs to file this form, and the provision with respect to what will happen if the form is not filed. It says, if you can check over here, MSME form is not there. Right? So the reason is, if a company fails to file MSME form, then the company will be levied with imprisonment or fine. There is no mention of penalty in the order issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs with respect to filing of form MSME. And hence this form is not considered under the scheme. Though there is no filing fee, there won't be any additional fees, but the filing of the non-filing of the form will definitely allow the authority to impose any fine or imprisonment upon the company. Mind well, the due date of filing MSME is a 6-monthly report. It has to be filed within 30 days from the closure of the financial year and within 30 days from the closure of the 6 months of the financial year. So the due date of the immediate due date of filing MSME form is 30th of April. And there is no extension, no benefit under the scheme. So the plain reading of the scheme is that a company should file MSME form within the due date, and non-filing of the MSME form. So like if the company is filing this MSME form beyond 30th of April, though there is no additional fee, but the provision of imprisonment and fine will definitely be levied upon if at all it comes up in the notice, and if at all proper reply or justification is not given by the company. So I would really request all of you all to please take care. This is a form which has no fees at all. Please file it. This with respect to any dues pending to any of the supplier of the company, which is a small or a medium enterprise, and the due is beyond 45 days. Defaulting company is not taking benefit of the scheme. If any company which has defaulted and is not taking any benefit of the scheme, then the last paragraph of the scheme says a due action will be taken by the authority. So likewise, at the conclusion of the scheme, the designated authority shall take necessary action. So it is given a free hand. Whatever necessary action has to be taken will be taken against a company who have not availed the scheme and are in default in filing the documents. So please be very careful. Please avail the benefit of the scheme. Is active form included in the scheme? Yes. No fees. Active form can be filed. DR3 KYC form. Yes, it is there in the scheme. There is no fees associated with it. You can please file CG1 form. What will happen to CG1 form? CG1 form is a form for if there is any lapse in the filing and the matter has to be compounded or the matter has to be taken up with the RD, then the prescribed form is CG1. Now, say for an example, shift of registered office from one state to another state, the regional director has passed order and you are required, or the company is required to file this form with the ROC within a time period of 30 days. And the company, for any reason, is not filing this form within 30 days. If it files beyond 30 days, then the INC 28 form will ask that whether have you condoned the delay, and if you have condoned the delay, kindly put the SRN of CG1 in the relevant box, and then only this form will be allowed to be filed. So you file CG1 first, put the SRN in INC 28, or as in the case INC 27. INC 27 is the form for conversion of public company into private company. Order received for conversion of public company into private company. If this order is not filed on due date, then you have to first file CG1, put the SRN in this consent form, and then this form will be allowed to file. What will happen to those forms which are already filed prior to this scheme? Then in such cases, the form should be filed. Even in after the scheme has come in place, if there is any delay in filing this INC 28, then no additional fees will be levied. But in any case, you will be required, according to me, this is my personal opinion, according to me, you will be required to file CG1. And once you are appearing for the commission of delay, you will have to pray for the lenient due, and whatever due is been taken, comply with it, and then your CG1 form will be approved. One CG form will be approved, your INC 28 will be approved, and then your process of that particular conversion of public into private or registered office or whatever it may be is over. Conviction order appeal. If a conviction order is appealed, then as I said earlier, you will first have to withdraw the appeal and then only. But what about such cases where there is a joint appeal filed, where there is an element of additional fee, element of some management dispute, and there are multiple cases involved and a joint appeal has been filed. In such a case, you will have to be very, very careful. Once you withdraw the appeal, you will not get another chance with respect to any other manner, any other matter associated with that particular case. So, if you are withdrawing the appeal and that appeal consists of not only delay in filing but also with delay in some fraudulent matter or with delay in some management dispute or any XYZ matter, then once you withdraw your appeal, even those matters will then be deemed to be withdrawn and you will have to face the consequences. So be very careful, be very, very careful and check that what is associated in the default of the company. If it is only with respect to non-filing of the form, if it is only with respect to additional fees, then you can very easily follow the procedure mentioned in the scheme. Otherwise, it is not a good decision to withdraw the appeal. What about condonation of delay? As I said earlier, the condonation of delay in the scheme is only with respect to additional fees. If there is any other element, then the process of condonation of delay has to be followed. The only thing is that you can pray for the lenient due because during the period of scheme, the benefit is given to all the companies in default to correct the lapse of filing. Matters lying with Sessions Court, High Court. As I said earlier, if there are any matters like Sessions Court, High Court, instead to appeals, withdraw it and do the filing, give that proof of withdrawal to the relevant authority, ROC or RD as the case may be. It has to be RD if it's Sessions Court or High Court. Give it to the RD and then the matter will be withdrawn by RD. Forms filed under CFSS. All the forms filed under CFSS will be without additional fees, refund of additional fees. 1 second. Point number 16, I wanted to ask this. There were some people who were asking me that we very recently filed all the forms with huge additional fees, and I just missed the chance by a few days. Now, can I tell another scheme that please give me immunity at least? Amount I've already paid because it's online system, the additional fees has already been paid. But there was no immunity at that time. Now, can I apply for only immunity over here? No, the scheme does not allow for a separate immunity certificate unless and until you are filing your delayed forms. Then only you can apply for the immunity certificate. Some people would say that we just filed the forms on 1st of March and 1st of April the scheme has come. Can we get refund of those additional fees because we just missed the bus by 1 day? No, what you have missed is your fate. You cannot get any refund. What about the NCLT order at the end of CFSS period? As I said earlier, if at all you apply for the company for the revival and you get the order, even though you get the order by the end of the period, will it be really possible for the company to file all the delayed documents within a short span of time? It's very difficult. So we have to really work fast to avail the benefit under the scheme if the companies have been struck out and NCLT revival order is required. Does the scheme cover ad valorem fees? No, it only covers additional fees. Ad valorem fees in any case is applicable only for the charge related form and the charge related forms and the increasing authorized capital form. Anyways, these forms are out of the purview of the scheme, so ad valorem fees is not covered under the scheme. What if there is delay in filing?
Sorry to disturb you.
Yeah,
we have only actually we have only 5 minutes, but max maybe 10-15 minutes.
15 minutes. I'll fast run through it because we are yet to go to the bill 2020.
Yes.
Fine.
If possible.
So, if there is any, so if there is delay in filing incorporation or if there is any other delay in any other forms that is not allowed under the scheme, repetition of default within 3 years. What happens if there is a default within 3 years? Then the provision says that the matter cannot be compounded and the provision of interest and fine is there, so you cannot do it. Remember CFSS CODS, it was anyways there beyond 3 years, but any default within 3 years is not compoundable, you cannot take the benefit. Appointment of MD, I'll skip this because it is a very small group of people who will be in the post of MD. Impact under other statutes, okay. There is immunity provided under the Companies Act only. If the particular default has any impact under any other statutes like SEBI, RBI, Income Tax Act or any other act, then such an impact cannot be covered under the scheme. If the charge is pending, the forms can be filed under the scheme, yes. Is it a fresh start? Let us not go on that. It is a fresh start. What is the impact on CARO? As an auditor, as chartered accountants and auditor, you have to give CARO, and the CARO covers the sections 185, 188, and all the sections which I have mentioned over here has it is to be mentioned in the CARO that relevant provision of 185 has been followed by the company. Now 185 talks about filing of a special reservation also. So if the form has not been filed, then you have to mention under the CARO. If the company has defaulted in the earlier years and it has corrected under this scheme, still will it be required to be mentioned under the CARO? According to me, the company which has defaulted, you see the definition, it talks about defaulting company. In the title itself, it says about defaulting company. The company has done the default and done the correction to the scheme. So, it would be always better taking a conservative view over here, better to open up all the cards and mention about everything that there was a default and you can correct it into the scheme. I really fail to understand what is a COVID-19 measure in here. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs was saying that this is a COVID-19 measure. what is the COVID-19 measure? There is no connection between COVID-19 and this scheme. The only thing which I can see upfront is that during the lockdown period, you get some sufficient amount of time to calculate or to really understand what are the lapses, and that's it. There is no COVID-19 measure I could see over here. And number of immunity certificates, as I said earlier, under CLSS only one certificate was allowed. So please be very careful and identifying what are the lapses and to correct all the lapses and then take immunity certificate for all the lapses. You will probably not be allowed. I mean, time will tell us, but probably you will not be allowed to take 2 immunity certificates, only 1 immunity certificate for all the kind of defaults. Correction of form filed with wrong details. In many cases, it would have happened that AOC4, wherein AOC4 CFS was applicable, you filed AOC4 without selecting AOC4 CFS, and then when you went to file AOC4 CFS, you were not allowed because no was selected in the earlier form. In such cases, you first have to cancel that earlier filed form and then file the form. Again, the step of cancelling the earlier forms takes too much of time at ROC office. So we really need to do due diligence for such companies. Now, these are the COVID-19 impact that the Minister of Corporate Affairs has taken measures against. On 19th of March, they have said that till 30th of June, all the companies will be allowed to conduct board meetings through video conferencing or through any other audio-visual means. Then on 23rd of March, another remedies, the company were required to file CAR form. That was an initiative by the Minister of Corporate Affairs to create an awareness among the companies that they are ready to deal with this pandemic. Then, though it was voluntary, no fees, and it was a web-based form, but it was a good move. At least the ministry came to know that how far our corporate world is ready for this. Then on 24th March, the scheme came. On 29th of March, CSR funds for COVID-19, for spending on COVID-19. So any amount spent for COVID-19 are now allowed to be considered as well spent under as CSR for that company. On 8th of April, passing of ordinary and special resolutions were allowed for listed companies through postal ballot or e-process, and for rest of the companies through any other video conferencing or audio visual means. This is the Companies Amendment Bill. Overall, 66 changes have been taken, and the changes are mainly with respect to disclosures to the stakeholders, accountability of the directors, auditors, and AMT, investor protections, corporate governance, in-house adjudication mechanism to adjudicate civil lapses without involving criminal codes. I would really say this is still in a form of bill. Once it becomes an act, I am yet to come across an act which has done such dynamic changes. We will probably require a whole 3 to 5 hour session to cover up this whole act as in when it is passed, to understand it in thoroughly. The objective is to decriminalize major offences have been decriminalized, as our finance minister has said that they are in the process of decriminalizing many acts. They have already taken the steps. Also, they have, this is something which is in my own case, we were doing a work of converting a public company into private company. This company earlier was a private company, then it was converted into public company, and now again it wants to convert into private company. Now, when it was a private company, it had its debts listed on the stock exchange. So because of this definition of the listed company, though that was a listed private company, and converted into a closely held public company, but not listed per se directly with its equity shares, just the debt was listed. This company was falling under the definition of listed company, and it was stuck up in the conversion process. Nobody was ready to take up its matter, saying that there is a lack of clarification whether such company, which is considered as listed company, can be converted into a private company or not. Probably this is a fallout of our matter, wherein now they have specified that all those companies which have their debt securities listed will not be considered under as listed company. Also, a producer company's whole chapter has been introduced to this bill. Also, earlier there was a limitation of having the National Company Appellate Tribunal up to 11. Now they have removed that provision, so they can open up more appellate tribunals. The recent one was they have opened up is in Chennai. I will skip some of them to save time. In earlier Amendment Act, there were special provisions with respect to small companies and one-person companies, wherein they were allowed to, they were levied 50%, less than 50%. I mean, the normal companies were levied, say, 100 rupees, and they would be levied 50 rupees. So the imposition of penalty would be 50% for small companies and one-person company, but the system was not allowing. Probably now they are working on that particular system. Yeah. Section 89 and Section 90 is with respect to filing of declaration with respect to beneficial owner or significant beneficial owner. The ministry is trying to identify a certain class of companies for which these particular forms or particular declaration will not be allowed. This is with respect to such companies wherein we have faced practical difficulties to obtain some declarations, especially with respect to foreign companies. This is point number J is very important. In the current scenario, the offer for right issue has to be mandatorily minimum period of 15 days and maximum 30 days. In case of private companies, if a consent of 90% of the members has been taken, then this offer period can be reduced to any number of days. Through this amendment, they have now reduced their timeline to any number of days. So there is no minimum offer period for rights issue. A very welcome move. This is also a very wonderful thing. All those companies which have to spend on CSR up to rupees 50 lakhs will now not be required to form a CSR committee. Probably for them, 50 lakhs is a very small amount. And for such a small amount, why do you have to undergo formality of forming a committee and then passing all the resolutions, recommendations first from the committee, given from the committee to the board, and then the passing resolutions by the board? So they have really done the ease of business. All those companies which are required to spend on CSR up to rupees 50 lakhs through this bill will not be now required to constitute a CSR committee and will be allowed to take the decisions on the areas to be spent, on the policies for CSR spending to be done to the board directly. This is a very welcome move, I guess. This is also a wonderful move. The penalties and the penalties with respect to non-filing of annual returns and financial statements are being reduced a lot under this bill. Also, point number O is wonderful. Now, the Indian companies will be directly allowed to be listed on in foreign jurisdictions. Wonderful move. So, those were the broad, and now this presentation will be shared to all of you. And these are the provisions, the major provisions. There are 66, but I have just covered up the major ones. These are the major provisions, as you will see, under the Companies Amendment Bill 2020. Which has major impact. I'm sharing this presentation with Charvik and Bhavin Bhai, and they will be sharing it with all of you all. You can please go through it. And finally, just within 2 minutes, I'll cover up what are the SEBI updates. And these are the updates, especially these are the measures specially taken with respect to COVID-19. Closure of trading window. The due date was 1st of April. There is no extension to declare this closure of trading window because you can do it just by a letter filed filed by mailing to the stock exchanges. So you can take it, though the trading window closure period has been extended to June. Intimating of the closure of the trading window can be done by emailing to the stock exchanges. So the intimation due date is not extended. Corporate governance report. The due date, which was 15th April, has been extended to 15th of May. These are all for the listed companies. Please keep in mind, statement of investor complaints, which was to be filed by 21st of April, has been extended to 15th of May. Shareholding pattern has to be filed by all the listed companies by 21st of April, extended to 15th of May. Reconciliation of share capital. The share capital reconciliation has to be done. Again, there is no extension on it. because the major reports have been obtained from the RTA and the practicing company secretaries will have to do it. So probably there is no extension at least till date. Compliance certificate is the due date has been extended to 31st of May. Compliance certificate by practicing company secretaries like me, the due date has been extended to 31st of May. Financial results, we all know that the due date has been extended to 30th of June now, which was earlier 30th of May. So we have more additional 1 month's time. Annual secretarial compliance report, which was recently come up last year. So the due date is also extended to 30th of June. Disclosure related to related party transactions. It has to be filed within 30 days of publication of financial statements. So as in financial statements, publication has been extended. This date will be extended. And of course, yes. So thank you very much. And if time permits, I can have questions, or I'm okay if you all can put me a mail also and I can receive the mail.
Ma'am, there are a few questions on your WhatsApp. Can you check?
Yeah, I can check.
Madam, these are the questions which has been given on the chat window. We have posted to you.
Can you please explain once again why the word penalty replaced for fine? See, first thing is the penalty does not require a long judicial process to be levied upon. The only thing is that once the ROC or the adjudicating officer identifies any lapse, it can straight away give you a show cause notice, and then you are required to give an explanation or appear for the hearing. Whereas if you have to impose a fine, there is a judicial process. So to avoid waste of time, all those areas wherein fine was there, penalty has been replaced. Only those areas wherein there is some severe fraud or there is some severe, I would say, amount of money of public involved. In such areas only, word fine is been retained. Otherwise, in major of the areas, the word penalty is been replaced with the word fine. And now we can see the impact of it. See, if the word fine was there, like in MSME form, I'm saying the word fine is used. The scheme is for immunity from penalties. So it doesn't talk about immunity from fines. So it is a very welcome move. Accounting data is not yet finalized by the company due to COVID-19. So how MSME forms can be filed on or before 30th of April? A very valid question, and I'm sure the ministry will be taking care of. Why it was not taken care of earlier was probably, as I said earlier, this MSME form is not required under the Companies Act. A special order was passed by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and it has direct link with the MSME Act. So it was a completely different game ball, and probably the ministry would not have identified this. And I'm sure the due date nearing, lot of representations have gone. So ministry should come up. But having said so, as on the date when there is no clarification, with whatever data we have to manage and file a form. And probably I would say that you have to have an access to the tally records of the company from. I'm sure the tally persons are giving access at home also. In our office also we have done so. So in any manner you have to find out a way, but filing of the form is required if you don't want to face the provisions of imprisonment or fine. Immunity should extend also to belated filings before CFSS. I guess yes, I agree, but see, then there is no end to it. How back you can go? So there has to be some limit to it. So it is from 1st April onwards. LLP had filed only financial year 11-12 ROC form. Later, some conflict among partners, so nothing is done. Still, ROC is showing defunct status. Now, what to do? Can we file under CFSS? You will first have to remove the company from the defunct status, and then only you will be allowed. LLP will be allowed to file further forms. So you have to first file an application with the ROC, mentioning about the facts of the case, and once the status is changed, you can take the benefit of the scheme. Can revised pass 3 be filed under CFSS, and based on such revised filing, will master data be updated? You can be allowed to file pass 3 form, but we have to keep in mind very important thing over here. It is also very clearly mentioned under the scheme that under section 42, it is very clearly said that the amount received after the allotment can be utilized only after the return of allotment is filed, and this return of allotment is Form PAS 3. So we have to be very careful. If the company has not yet utilized any fund and PAS 3 form is yet to be filed, then it can very well file under the scheme and get the immunity with respect to the additional fees. But if the company has by any reason utilized the funds before filing the return, and now if it wants to file this form PAS 3 under the scheme, it can file the form through the scheme and get the immunity from the additional fees. But the default of the company by utilizing the funds before filing the return, that default you will not get any immunity. For such kind of default, you will not get any immunity. You will have to go for the necessary process and correct and pay the penalty as required. What if the company does not obtain approval in board or AGM for any particular related party transactions? This is not related to the scheme. I would request this query to be taken up separately to save time of others who have specially joined this forum for understanding the scheme and the bill. So I'll take this question separately. Again, here I would like to mention that any lapse in the filing of annual return or financial statements, there is very important thing to be taken care of. The benefit of the scheme can be taken only and only with this understanding that the AGM was duly conducted, the financial statements were duly prepared, duly signed, duly adopted in the AGM, and the AGM was conducted, the resolutions were properly passed. It is only and only that they were not just filed with the ROC. If this is the case, then you get immunity under the scheme. But now if you say that my AGM was not conducted at that time, I will conduct the AGM as on today and file all the forms, then first of all, there is no question of additional fees at all because you are conducting AGM as on today and your firm will be levying fees with respect to the date of AGM. If at all there is any additional fees with respect to AGM held on any other day wherein you will be levied some additional fees, then again the immunity is only with respect to additional fees. The default of not having conducted the AGM, because the section very clearly says if at all there is no AGM held, then the form of the returns has to be filed within 30 days or 60 days from the date on which the AGM should have been held. So even though the AGM was not held, the company should have filed the form within that much of time period. So if the company has not conducted AGM or the financial statements were not made, then this kind of defaults will not be taken care of under this scheme. There is a disqualification as a director up to 31st of October 2022 for non-filing of financials, but the company did not start any business, no bank account, no application for certificate of business, but the company is active. Can we take the benefit under the CFSS scheme? See, there are two elements over here. First is the company's status active? Yes. Are the directors disqualified? Yes. So if you want to avail the benefit of the scheme, then with the current directors, you will not be allowed for the obvious reasons that the directors are disqualified, their DINs are blocked, so you will not be allowed to file through their DINs. So what you need to first do, you have to first appoint one director from the back end. Then through the director, you have to appoint minimum number of directors, 2 in case of private, 3 in case of public company. But through the director, once the minimum number of board of directors, when the statutory requirement of the board of directors is done, then you can do all the necessary filings under the scheme and you will be given immunity. But again, I'm repeating for the sake of repetition also that please be careful when any new director is appointed on the board, the immunity from disqualification will be given under section 167 only for the period of 6 months. Please be very careful. They have to correct all the default within a period of 6 months. Looking at the lockdown period and looking at the COVID-19 pandemic situation, if at all the scheme gets extended, beyond this period also, having a very, very optimistic view. Say for an example, the government takes notice that there is lockdown period, people are unable to do any work from their home, and this 1 month of period which is lost because of the lockdown period, the scheme requires to be extended. The persons who are appointed newly on the board, please be very careful. Though the scheme will be applicable, the time period for these people to correct the default is only up to 6 months. Then if beyond the 6 months and the default is not corrected, they will be disqualified again. How far the system is there to take care of these things is a different issue, but the law is very clear on this part and we need to be very careful over here. So thank you all. These were the queries. If at all there are some more queries, I'm open to answer. You can put me a mail, you can WhatsApp me, you can call me. I'm always available. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thanks a lot. It was a wonderful explanation. Before giving Papa a vote of thanks, I request all the members, please note, tomorrow we are having session of Asid Bhai. Change in timing. It is from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Tomorrow, Asid Bhai on GS amendments from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Members of Ghatkopar Circle who has not renewed membership are requested to renew the same. Now coming to proper vote of thanks. Madam, it was wonderful explanation. I know time was short for explanation. You have done a lot of work with all the explanations and all the details you have given to the members. Who members are present have enjoyed it, and you can see the questions they have asked to you. So they must have understood everything, and we are very grateful to have you. Thank you, madam. Definitely, one bill comes act, we'll call you once again for clarifying all the matters. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Session is
I'm
closed. Thank you.
available for any of you all, always.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bhavin Bhai. Thank you, Charlie, for giving this opportunity. And thank you all of you all for the patient hearing. This is a very different kind of mode wherein I cannot see any of you all, I cannot speak to any of you all, but I am very much thankful to all of you to have a patient hearing of me. Thank you.
Thank you.